What's up, guys? What's up, Tom? Tom's in here before the stream even starts, cracking me up. Hopefully the quality of the stream is okay. I mean, I'm looking at the preview thing on the YouTube pane above me, and it looks a little blurry. I don't know if you guys see it as blurry. Hope not. Oh, technology. What's up, Sam? What's up, Josh? Robbie? How's everybody? Okay, cool. If it's blurry, guys, let me promise you, it's not my camera. There's Raul. What's up, Raul? What's up, R? All right, cool. We will, this one's going to be pretty short and sweet. It's a holiday weekend. I know people have families to hang out with and barbecues and all kinds of stuff. So we'll keep it short. Give it just a few more minutes. Let some people kind of straggle in. We always start right around 5 p.m. market time. So two more minutes, guys. Werner, how's it? What's up, man? You guys see my new, this is from Father's Day. This is pretty cool. I love this thing. It's hard work, 200%, strength, 150%. Dad jokes, it says 30%. That part is wrong, let me promise you. My dad jokes are amazing, but love this. This is an iced latte because it's so damn hot where I live. All the hot coffee in my house is consumed in the mornings. Once that sun comes up here in Southern California, there's no hot drinks. Who in here's got the best fireworks for tomorrow? Any of you guys got some killer fireworks? All right, guys. Just another 30 seconds. We'll get this kicked off. If you guys are on Twitter or Instagram or YouTube or wherever you can share the stream link, please do. I mean, you can just go. It's as simple as just retweeting the tweet I put out. Try to get as many eyes on it as possible. Listen, I don't want to sound like a complainer, but it takes a lot of work, and it takes like a lot of my attention away from my own family, right, to put in the time to create these and put together this content for you guys. So like, please try to help me get as many eyes on it as possible, because it's sometimes you get a little burnt out on it, but I know it's important, and I know I do the prep regardless, but it's actually the hard part is the creating the content, right? All right, guys, let's get this kicked off. As always, if you guys don't have a broker that you trust, Cobra Trading is the only broker you're ever going to hear me recommend, guys. These guys are hands down #1 in customer service, which if you've been around the industry for a while, you'll know that not all brokers are very good at that, right? Plus, these guys have great locates, great fees, and if you use the link in the description, you'll actually get 25% off your commissions and 1 month free of whatever platform it is you try, whether it's DOS or Sterling. And Scriptstotrade, real quick, want to mention these guys. Dude, these guys are amazing. They create indicators for TradingView and Thinkorswim, and they already have like a whole library full of indicators on everything from volume forecast to abnormal volume to gap stats to all kinds of stuff. And if they don't have something that you want and you can think it up, they can create it for you, right? So check them out, guys. Honestly, they're traders as well, so when you talk to them, they understand what you're trying to explain to them, which is a great thing. And yeah, let's just get right into it, guys. If this is your first time watching this, I'm one of the moderators over at TrueTrader. We're actually running if you guys want to check us out, we're running a 4th of July sale right now. I think it's 30% off the monthly fee plus $100 off the initial registration cost. And if you want the annual, it's 40% off, and they waive the registration cost altogether. So the sale's pretty good. We focus on emotional moves in the levels in the first 30 minutes of trading. I don't know if you guys follow me on Twitter or not, but dude, I'm almost always done trading in the first 30 minutes. You'll see me at the golf course almost on a regular basis because that's me enjoying my life, and that's my whole philosophy. Is like I want to work to live. I don't want to live to work, right? So I don't, my stats that I track for my performance tell me there's no point for me to sit around my computer all day. Most of the time when I trade during the lull or after that first, opening 30 minutes to an hour, I end up usually giving profits back. So there's just no point for it to me. You guys, we have a strategy that we teach everybody in the room. It's black and white. It's not, it's not a secret. We tell everybody how to trade it, how to manage risk. If you are curious or on the fence, guys, take advantage of this sale and come check us out. All right, so the topic for the Sunday prep today is you versus you. This is a very important topic for us as traders, and I have a lot of these kind of ideas for the topics to talk about when I'm doing things other than trading. So for me personally, like I like to stay healthy. I'm always at the gym. I like to golf in the gym, and I also skateboard, right? So like a lot of the stuff that I do has a lot of parallels to trading. One of them being like a lot of what I do is, they're mental battles. Like if you've ever golf is so mental. Like you can learn how to hit a golf ball, that's fine. You could get really good at golf. You'll never master golf. It's just like trading. It's very, very mental. The gym is very mental, right? It's hard to push yourself to levels where you're actually challenging yourself. It's really easy to get to the gym and not really push yourself, but that's not going to achieve the goals you want to achieve, right? So when I talk about you versus you, let's just use the gym as an example, right? When I was younger, I would go to the gym, and I was that guy. I was like, dude, let's put on as much weight as possible, and like I hope people are watching this. Oh, is that hot girl over in the corner of the gym? Is she looking? Like, dude, once you guys get older and a little more mature, one of the things that you realize is that the only person in the gym that matters is the person in the mirror looking back at you, yourself. It's all about you challenging yourself, and trading is very much the same way. Now, when I talk about it in terms of trading, I mean it in two different ways, right? I mean it wholeheartedly both ways, right? The first is that, you'll see people on Twitter or wherever you follow people on social media, and they're always posting P&Ls, and they're always patting themselves on the back and congratulating themselves. They're putting forth a picture that is, much rosier than what we all seem to feel like trading is for us, right? Like anybody that trades will tell you, like, dude, I don't know how Trader X can just seem to always nail every single trade. How he must never lose, right? That's not the truth, right? It's not reality. Reality is we all go through these same struggles, right? But if you're looking outward, if you're looking at people on social media, and if you're, looking at so-and-so's P&L, you're focused on the wrong thing. The only person that matters that you should be competing with is yourself, right? You need to aim to get just a little bit better every single day. When you show up to your computer and you're ready to trade, you need to try to beat the guy you were yesterday. If maybe you were a little undisciplined yesterday. Today, we are making a resolution to not have that problem today, right? We're going to be a slight bit better version of ourselves today. The other way I mean it when I say it's you versus you is anybody that trades knows that the biggest problem, the biggest impediment to our success is absolutely ourself. It's always our own, shortcomings, whether it's discipline or inability to just sit on your hands or whatever it is. It's not, it's not another trader. It's not somebody else that's causing you to screw up your plan or not stick to your system. It's always you. It's always in here. It's in between your ears, right? It's a constant battle between what we know we should do and what like that little asshole sitting on your shoulder is like constantly yapping in your ear that he wants you to do, right? Like whether it's you're red on a trade or something and you should be shutting it down for the day and going and doing something else, and he's sitting there on your shoulder saying, just take another trade, let's make that money back, right? That's in your head. That's you versus you. You need to shut that guy up, right? So it is a constant battle of you versus you. And I've always been really big on listening to self-improvement or motivational type things, and I actually heard something today. I wasn't going to talk about this at all, but I heard a guy talking about it today, and I was like, dude, that is so perfect for trading, right? And he was saying, he's like, your identity is like the thermostat that controls who you are, right? And he said, you always need to find a way to do the things you should do in one area of your life somewhere else, right? It's because what you do is you create habits that become a part of your identity. He said his example was this, and it was funny. I was listening to this in the gym, and his example was in the gym. He said, in the gym, I constantly, always make myself do that one extra rep or set, right? And he said, it always spills over into the rest of your life. He goes, the gym's the easiest place to do it because it's so easy to just grab the weights and just do that one more set, or be lifting something and just do one more rep, right? And it's not about like the benefit of actually, tearing your muscles down just a little bit more. That's not really what it's about. It's about reinforcing inside your consciousness that is your identity. Your identity is that you're the person that always does a little bit more, right? And he goes, because what you do is your identity guides you. It is how you carry yourself about throughout the day without thinking about it, right? So if you identify as a person who's a messy person and disorganized, well, you will be, and so will the rest of your life, right? It's not I don't mean in the future. I just mean everything surrounding you will most likely be a reflection of that identity. And I was like, dude, that's so perfect for trading, because in trading, there's a lot of things that we need to identify as that we should practice outside of trading. And the biggest one for me that comes to top of mind is discipline, right? To be a great trader, to have a career as a trader, I've never, ever met an extremely successful trader that did not have an extraordinary amount of discipline. Not just a little bit of discipline, not a lot of discipline, an extraordinary amount of discipline. So what do? Practice discipline in other areas of your life so it becomes part of your identity. Because if you're one of those people that struggles with discipline, guess what? I guarantee you, if you struggle with discipline, you're the guy that's in a trade and you should stop out and you don't. You add to it. Or you shouldn't take this trade, but you take it, right? Well, if you build that into your identity, that you are steadfast in your discipline, whether it's going to the gym or eating healthy, or whether it's how you approach your personal relationships in your life, having discipline, if you do it with an extreme amount, right? Never miss your gym sessions. Never miss, don't eat that hot dog when you should get the salad. Whatever it is, right? If you constantly do it on a very consistent basis, when it comes to trading, you're gonna go, man, I really, I don't want to stop out of this trade. I kind of want to add to it, but it's gonna go against your core identity, what you identify as inside, and that's gonna be what guides you, and it's gonna make stopping out when you need to stop out happen. And you won't even think about it. You're gonna like, it's just who I am. Who are you? I'm a disciplined mofo, right? Like, and that's just what it is. And so I wanted to kind of incorporate that into the topic today, right? So I know I wanted to talk about you versus you, But that whole building things into your identity outside of trading so that it becomes who you are and how you conduct yourself when you're sitting at your desk is very, very important. So that's it, guys. Let's hop right into the prep now. As always, I got to handle some housekeeping here. Neither I, TrueTrader, or any of our representatives are registered as security broker dealers. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. Nothing I talk about today is a solicitation to buy or sell any stocks. It's simply for entertainment purposes only, guys. All right, let's get into it. Here is your ES chart, guys. This is a weekly chart. Let me look at a daily real fast and just show you guys some stuff. All right, so we had the bounce. We rejected underneath the 20. We kind of talked about that last week. Every kind of pop into the 20. The 20's been holding. And what we did was we tried to probe lower. So, we don't know that this is going to hold as a higher low. We did start to bounce, right? We had the hammer candle on Thursday, and then Friday, a nice big green candle. It looks like we're bouncing. The problem with it is that for me personally, for any real type of actionable longer term bullishness, I still need for myself to see a higher low on the weekly chart, right? So even though this could become a higher low, if we look at the weekly chart, in order to make a higher low here, we still need to try to break last week's lows without eventually then breaking the lows down here, right? The 36.39. So we need to take out last week's lows, but not take out 36.39, and then possibly we could be making a higher low on the weekly chart. Now, obviously, we don't always get what we want. Things don't always have to unfold textbook, right? We did get the new monthly candle too, which is worth pointing out, right? So, if I talked about this last week, I kind of want to reiterate that, and that is, in my opinion, if the range is to contract, if things are to stop getting being so volatile, that would actually kind of bode kind of well for the bulls. All this really big volatility and huge range both ways, right, up and down, doesn't really lend itself that well, in my opinion, to any sort of real reversal of this downtrend we're in, right? I'd like to see a month or maybe even two of some much more narrow contraction of the price action, so that we can be building a base, right? Like if this candle, this is a monthly candle, right? So we have 4 weeks for this candle to close. So if this were to be a narrow candle on a weekly chart, you're going to get 4 candles, and on a daily chart, we're going to get 20 candles, right? That for a month. So we could start to finally build a base, and then maybe get some pushes where there might be follow through, and then dips start to hold, and then then we can talk about reversals. But until that happens, the path of least resistance is still down, and this is still a market where there's no reason for me to think that the major rallies into resistance aren't great short opportunities. It doesn't mean there's not long opportunities. It just means that the time frame I'm looking at holding a stock on the long is usually a day trade. There are some sectors and there are some situations where I may look for a day to a few days of swing trade, but nothing more than that. It's still a day trading market, unless you're trying to swing something short, and in that case you're just letting the trend pay you, right? Because the trend is still down. So yeah, other than that, I really think if I was gonna take a guess at how this could play out textbook, it would be a pop into the 20-day, a lower high there, and then we lose last week's lows and try to probe lower. That's how this trend may continue, and that's how, if it does it that way, that's very, very in line with what we've been seeing, right? The push up, and then it's the next push up is the lower high, and then we roll over, and then you come down and you see the same thing happening again and again. And why does that happen? It's the psychology behind it, right? What's actually happening when you see the pushes that fail to make new highs? What's going on in the traders' minds of, you know, oh crap, we were rallying and I thought we were going to make new highs here and we put in a lower high. Everybody knows, they know the path of least resistance is down. So it doesn't take much for people to become sellers on those rallies when they see those lower highs. And so right here, if we push into the 20-day and make a lower high here and then we break last week's lows, that's what gives you the fuel to try to get that next leg down, right? To try to hold trend. And that's all we're doing, right? We're not here with a crystal ball trying to make predictions. We're literally making if-then statements based on how stocks trend. And the only way for a stock to go higher is to make higher highs and higher lows. And we're not getting that, right? Now, can this be a higher low on the daily chart? Yes. And if we break last week's highs, does that kind of look like a higher low followed by a higher high? Yes. But it doesn't matter because right now, the time frame we're extended on is the weekly chart, and the weekly chart's the one that needs to get that reversal, right? The weekly chart needs to stop making lower highs and lower lows, and the first thing it needs to do before we can push higher and say that maybe we're reversing is to get a higher low. And if you've been following me for any amount of time, you understand that like this last week's weekly candle, to me, that's not a higher low on this time frame. It is a higher low on the daily chart. We're looking at that, right? But it's not a higher low on the weekly chart. In order to put in a higher low on the weekly chart, we need to first try to probe lower, right? And then not. So like we have examples of them here, right? Here's your low, we push up and we try to go lower and it holds. Then we push, right? That is a higher low. You know, here, no. We push up, lower high, and then we break lows, and the trend continues. So again, I need to see this trying to go lower first, and then the bulls make a stand. That's really all I wanted to talk about with that. So let's just talk about the levels now. Resistance levels, the 20-day and that monthly pivot, right? That's the first level I'm looking at. And after that, we're gonna just say like the range basically of, you know, where that last long trigger was that failed. Puts us right up into that 39.90. So I'm going to give you a range, right? 39.90 up to 4,007 is your annual pivot. But that 4,000 psychological round level right there at the 50-day, we have a quarterly pivot and an annual pivot as well. So any kind of moves up into those levels, I'm looking at as major resistance levels. And then above that, we have this 40. Let's just call it 4070. Did I even write it down in my list? Let's see. I did. I wrote 41. Oh no, that's the next one up. Did I write this in the list? No, but if I do like this 4070 area. The next one up was that 4160 to 4180 area, which is these recent highs up here. I don't know if we're going to get up there. That's also the weekly 20 for what it's worth, okay? I don't think we're going to get up there. I'd like to see this trend try to continue lower first. Then we kind of then we watch to see what happens next, right? When they try, if they try to push lower, do they hold or do we make new lows and do we get another leg down? Now, keep in mind, you can always have the failed breakdown, right? Maybe we take out that rut row level and snap right back up and then get a long trigger. I always pay attention to those because they can create really powerful short-term trades, right? Like everybody thought we're going lower, just broke lows, trap everyone, snap back up, make a higher low, and then the rip, I want to be a part of that. It doesn't mean that the downtrend is ending, right? That's not at all how that works. But it does set you up for the possibility of very, very powerful long trades in the short term, okay? All right, let's jump into the NQ. Again, same thing as what we just talked about with the SPY. I did want to point one thing out. We drew this line. This line right here was drawn last Sunday prep. I'm not going to spend any more time talking about it other than to tell you guys there was a reason I talked about last Sunday why we drew this level. And if you don't understand why that level was drawn, you need to go back and watch that Sunday prep because I laid it out really clear that last week. And you know what? I'm not here to spoon feed people. So you want to learn it, go rewatch it, okay? But that was a key level. So that's another key level I'm watching this week, a retest of last week's lows. Below that, you have your rut row level. And then other than that, I mean, we do have, let me go to the daily. We have this other level down here from the lows back in September of 2020, which is right around, let's just call it 10,680, okay? We'll call it 10,680. That would be if we lose, actually, no, there's also one above that, I'm sorry. the 11,000 level. I'm sorry, and I did have that written down from back in October of 2020. We'll call it 11K, which is another round psychological level. You guys need to learn. I mean, 11,000 on something like the NQ is no different than watching like something that's an $11 stock flush right down into that round psychological $10 level of that name, right? So like holes and halves and big round psychological levels, whether it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, or 25, 50, 75, 100, those quarters, those are important levels, guys. So 11K on Nasdaq is definitely a spot I'll be watching if we take out those recent lows. Okay, above that, the 20-day and the monthly, they're lining up nicely. 12K, another psychological level, really should. I hope I start to sound repetitive, guys. If I start to sound repetitive, then you'll start to hear my voice in your head when I'm not even around, and you won't even need me to tell you these things. It'll be second nature. Okay, and then above that, you have this 12,300, we'll call it. Like you got the 50-day, and above that, the recent breakdown, a retest of that recent short level, right? That's an important level. That level is important for the exact same reason this level was important last week on the flush. So a retest of that level is very important to me, guys. Let's move on to Bitcoin. Again, I'm going to try to start moving a little quicker, guys. I know everybody wants to get back to their holiday weekend. This one here, into the downward sloping 20 SMA, and down we go, right? What I care about now is on the weekly chart. Are we getting a higher low? We won't know until we either break back above, I think I even wrote it down, let's see, 21,866, over 21,866, and then we do have a valid, confirmed higher low on the weekly chart, and maybe we can push. But if it pushes, it's going to run right into some very recent resistance, that 26,000 level, where the breakdown happened, and above that is 28K. There's just so much overhead right now. Just like I talked about with the S&P and Nasdaq, the bulls would really benefit, in my opinion, from some contraction of the volatility, some narrowing of the range, right? Maybe a big base to build. Think about, like, we've already seen this with crypto, right? How do the big moves in crypto start? They start from these big bases that build, and then they launch, right? All the big moves came from those, and even this is sideways for how many months? Almost a month and a half, 2 months. This here is like we're going sideways, not even a month, right? And then flush, and then we're like half a month now, right? These moves aren't digesting. They're just whipsaw everywhere, and it's been the same with the S&P and the Nasdaq. They could really benefit from a little bit calming of the volatility and contraction of the range. Again, we take out these lows and we may probe lower. I still see nothing bullish yet about Bitcoin or cryptos, right? I think the downtrend's very obvious. If you guys are only able to see longs, then flip the charts upside down, and this chart looks like it's ready to go higher, right? All right, let's do the sector analysis. Roll up my notes, get over to the ETFs. We can go check out bar chart. If you guys aren't familiar with this, dude, these guys make this tool that, there's a ton of tools in here. I love this sector area here. Not only the thing I always show you, which is this matrix short term, but I love that, when you identify a sector where you may want to take a peek under the hood, you can just click on that sector and it'll go and take you to every component of that sector, and you can sort by a million different things and really start to dial in what names deserve your attention, right? Stock selection is the most underrated, under talked about topic, in my opinion. Maybe we'll have to do one of the Sunday preps over stock selection, because stock selection is usually something that makes or breaks a trader, right? All right, so utilities, we'll talk about them because there was, we're going to go through all the sectors, but utilities was the big one. They had a crazy bounce, right? Consumer discretionary and communication and IT, techs, still really, really weak, okay? Let's head over to the ETFs. We'll go one by one, okay? All right, so this is retail. We talked about this last week, that Maybe they're still holding on to putting in that higher low on the weekly chart. You got the brief break below, but it soaked back up. You know, it never closed below that, right? And so we're back above that level. I would much rather wait for confirmation of a close below that level and then see some further unwind before getting all bearish on it just yet. Unless we spike back into resistance, right? A spike up into the 20-day, I'd be all over that probably for a fade on individual names, right? Even if we get through the 20-day, the 50-day is going to be then lining up with these recent highs and the quarterly and the monthly pivot. But again, you know, we broke these lows, and this is what sometimes you'll hear me referring to these, you know, a lot, is these failed breakdowns. Now, in order for this to be a failed breakdown, we then need to see a subsequent long trigger to get that burst upwards, right? Where we may have some shorts trapped down here, but it still just as easily could roll over on Tuesday morning and then stuff that level and then unwind, right? You want to see confirmation of a long follow-through trigger to the upside if you're going to try to capitalize on this. 1 second, guys. Gotta get some coffee. All right, XLF. Still holding this very key level, guys. We've been talking about this. I really like the way this looks, the way it is holding so far. And, you know, I'm still looking at flushes as the possibility of getting long individual names. Basically, we just need to clear... actually, no, we still need the higher low on the weekly on this one. I forgot. What did I write down? I said, still trying to hold this key level. Hard not to root for this level to hold since it was such a key area, but hope and objectivity often reside in different zip codes, guys. Hopefully you understand what that means, right? Like, I can hope this holds this level all I want, but I still need to do my job as a trader, and that is to remain objective and see things black and white, right? We break these levels, then we can still unwind. If we hold, there's definitely the ability for some pushes. Why I point that out is because if you were looking at individual names in this sector, the thesis is that the lows are in and this is going to have a push from here. So if we break lows, you need to be objective, black and white, say, look, my idea was wrong. It's okay to be wrong. What's not okay is to remain wrong, okay? So I do like these. I like a lot of... the cool thing about the financial sector is there's a lot of individual names that have liquidity and range, right? So there'll be some names that I'll be watching throughout the week. If they flush into key levels, I'll probably be playing them for bounces. Real estate. Let's see what I write down. Under last week's lows is the short continuation trigger. Yeah, so basically the push up into the 20-day, lower high, then break under this 40.29 or whatever level, and we can... most likely the target would be the recent lows, right? So just draw this out for you guys real quick. Basically, it would look like this: lower high, and then the break of this level is what can get you back down to here, okay? And then obviously, if the trend's going to continue, it's to the lower, right? If it doesn't continue lower, that's how you end up with the weekly higher low, right? So if we look at a weekly chart, hopefully this will it show on the weekly? It will. So you can see if we can break last week's lows, head lower, but not lose the lows, because remember, this did bounce really nicely off of the weekly 200. That's how you end up with the higher low on a weekly chart and the ability to push, okay? So get rid of all these squiggles. I don't trade a lot of names in this sector. I had one on last week on the prep. There are some that have the liquidity and the range, and if you don't know them, right, this is where you go. You come in here, you go real estate. It'll pull up all the components. You can just sort it by volume, right? Because I'm not trying to trade anything. So look, you can see right here, there's only a handful of names that trade over 2 million shares regularly, right? So if it doesn't trade 2 million shares per day, I'm really not interested. This really helps you narrow down your focus, right? So you can see the ones that are more liquid, the ones that are a little less liquid, and you can go look at individual charts, right? That's how you kind of can get ideas, guys. All right, XLV. Still think there's a lot of overhead up here into these levels. That quarterly pivot and those recent highs up into 134. Anything up into those areas, and I'm probably leaning short. I'm probably even leaning short in these levels, right? Again, what I said last week still kind of pertains, which is XBI, which is the biotech stock. There's a lot of overlap between healthcare and biotech, right? So make sure if you're bearish on this sector that you understand what names in this sector have that overlap, right? Buildings or materials, yeah, the push up into the levels after the breakdown stuffed, made new lows. I still think any pops into those levels of resistance are going to be good short opportunities. Another sector I don't typically trade, but worth talking about, right? Another reason we do this and go over these sectors is because in a bear market, right, you want to see what sectors have strength, what sectors don't, and we want to see when certain sectors start to bottom and base, because go look at previous bear markets and you'll see some things will hold up longer than others, right? There's certain things that perform better in late stage cycles, like utilities was one of them. We talked about that plenty of times. Defensive stocks, things like that, but they still are not immune to the bear market, right? The bear market eventually comes for all of them. And so, if we're looking to see when a bear market's going to bottom, if we still have sectors that haven't even begun to roll over yet, that kind of is a little bit of a hint at what inning we're in this, right? Industrials, again, another one I don't trade much, still making lower highs, lower lows, just riding that 20-day straight down, right? Utilities, the one I want to talk about, that bounce is very impressive bounce. I still think any higher, we get this the previous month's monthly pivot, which is that breakdown level 73, that and then 75.50-ish are key levels where if we were to get follow through or extension to the upside, there are some names in this sector where I'd probably be leaning on the short. All right, consumer staples. Anything, I think the levels we talked about last week were the exact same, and they're the same levels this week, still same idea. Quarterly, 200-day, major trend line, and descending 50-day, all in that same area. That 74 level is going to be really tough for this to get through. Even if it does, that 75 level is the next spot, and you got your weekly 20, monthly pivot, previous quarters, quarterly pivot, and recent support turn resistance, right? So if 74 doesn't work, I don't mind taking trades off and revisiting them a little bit higher, but I like the consumer staples sector for fades. Consumer discretionary, still weak, right? And remember, we had a bit of a rally on Thursday and Friday in the broader market. So it's also another good thing to pay attention to what sectors had relative weakness, right? Consumer discretionary never really had too much of a bounce last week. It was down, and then Friday, a bit of an update, but the whole market was. So just keep in mind relative weakness. I think any pops into the 20-day still look good for shorts, because I honestly think we're going to break lows and get another leg down in this sector. This sector is hard to get any sort of bullish bias on, because if there's a looming recession, and we all have felt the gas prices, we all have felt the cost of protein going through the roof. Like, we have all seen like packages of something that used to be like 16 ounces in a bag are now 12 ounces, and they think we're stupid and we don't understand like what's happening. Like, we see this stuff, right? So when we see that kind of stuff, we just mentally check out on spending money on stuff that's not necessary. Consumer discretionary is like your excess money, stuff you want to go waste money on, right? Like cruises and like all kinds of dumb stuff. Not that cruises are dumb. It's just like when your pocketbook gets tight. Are you taking cruises? Are you going to Disney? Communication sector, another one, just been really weak. Anything, as long as we stay under this 20-day, guys, this thing most likely, in my opinion, is going to keep rolling over and keep getting legs down. Biotech still looks strong. I still think, like, look at the dip last week, the way it just held those recent breakout areas. Really, really looks good here, guys. I think this is constructive price action. Get the higher low, push up, pull back, hold levels. I think we're ready to push again. I still think just dips are ready to start getting bought. Again, make sure you have your shopping list ready on names that have been just beaten down the whole time this was getting beat down, there's a ton of biotechs out there that are trading under their cash value. Tech stocks, just like what we talked about with the NQ, right? I don't think the rally is ready until we get a higher low on the weekly chart, and I still think actually let's look at a weekly on this. Okay, that's why I knew it. I knew I was going to say that and be stupid as hell. We got the higher low so far on the weekly chart, and look at the difference between this and what we looked at on NQ, right? See, this is a higher low because it broke the low of the week before it. Now, we don't know that it's going to be a higher low unless we then come and break above the recent highs, okay? So we still need to get back above here to confirm it, but this has the higher low possibility. But what I think's more likely to happen is I think we're more likely to push up into this 20-day, make a lower high here, and then just continue south, okay? XLE and XOP, again, still holding this level we drew out from, I don't know if it was last week or the week before we were pointing this out, but you know, last Sunday prep, we talked about the fact that this here reclaimed. It was kind of a failed breakdown, and then we had to pop. Came down again, retested, held. I'm wondering if we get a push from here, okay? Because energy and oil have been strong, and these are major pullbacks. If you look at all the pullbacks these have had since that big uptrend started and we broke that major long-term downtrend, this is the first major pullback, right? So I'm happy it's holding levels. We'll see if it continues. If not, I still like the weekly 50 on XLE energy. And then XOP, same thing. I'm thinking the weekly 50 still, I think we talked about that last week. Anything down in this 110 level is retesting like this major trend line. So again, looking for certain levels to hold on energy and oil for possible longs in those sectors. That's it for the sector analysis, guys. We're going to jump into the individual ideas. There's not a lot, okay? So I promise you this isn't going to go too much longer. So we're going to start with the long ideas. Strong stocks looking for continuation. The first name on my list is CHWY. All right, under 34 I wrote down. Let me zoom in. Under 34, which is, you know, Thursday's lows pretty much. Under 34 and we get the lower high. Let me just draw this out for you guys. Remember, we talk about this all the time. The lower high right here. And then under these lows. And I'm hoping we can flush down to the 20-day, right? What did I write down? Was it the 20-day or did I write... Yeah, the 20-day. The monthly and annual pivot as well. So, you know, it doesn't... This is one of those ones that doesn't necessarily have to happen on Tuesday morning. This could be, you know, who knows what it does on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. But it's going to look really, really good to me if when this happens, the 20 days up here around this annual and monthly pivot. Because if you draw that line straight across from where we got it over here, right, this is resistance. We're finally back above it. We haven't retested this 3260 level yet. 3250, 3260. That's what I'm kind of looking for. Break under 34 and then a flush back down into those 3260 area for a scoop. I think this is a good looking stock. I think it's been behaving really well, and I think it's just taking a breather because look where we pushed right up into this major overhead supply from all the way from January through mid-April, right? We had all this sideways action that broke down. You know, you probably have a lot of people that got bagged. They were building a nice base. People probably thought we're going to push, breaks down, pushing back up into those levels. You have a lot of sellers, okay? Nothing more than that. I think a flush back down into 3260 gets a good scoop. If we get below that, I'm revisiting it down here at 30, call it 31, right? Last quarter's quarterly and last month's monthly, all in that same area. I don't mind revisiting it there. All right, the next idea is Moderna. I can't help but like the look of this chart, guys. You know, I had it on short watch for a pop into this. You guys see this short trigger back here on June 9th, okay? That held as two really good short opportunities this day and this day, but we're back above it now. Honestly, when we get back above those levels after rejecting like that and then hold, I think this thing looks like it's ready to go. That's kind of my idea here. let's see, what did I write? I think I'm ready to try this off Friday's lows. You know, you have that 140 psychological round level. If we can get below that, I don't mind. Again, you'll hear me say this all the time. I have no problem stopping out and revisiting. You got the 20-day curling up with the 50-day starting to flatten, right? All right around that monthly pivot in that 137 area. So like if 140 doesn't work, I'll be right there at 137 for the scoops. If this were to push, I'll probably look to buy flushes back into 147. All right. And the last idea in the long section is Roblox, which was on last week's prep. Again, last week the idea worked great. Worked really early in the week and then sold off. You know why I didn't care about it after it gave the trade was because it went to the target, right? We talk about this all the time. The target on this setup is the weekly 20. We triggered, went straight to the target. Now it's kind of finding resistance. It doesn't surprise me at all that a push up into the underside of the 20, the weekly 20, which we have not tested this whole way down, is going to act as resistance at least for a little bit. But I do think we get flushes back down into, what was I saying, 3183 is where I think we trigger the fade, right? Same kind of look as CHWY. CHWY was under Thursday's lows for the trigger for the fade, and same with Roblox. Under Thursday's lows, I think trigger a sell-off, and I'm hoping to scoop it right down here in this 2950 area. The 120-minute chart does a really good job of illustrating this. I gotta quit doing that with my drawing tool. All right, this right here, failed breakdown, coming down, new lows, flush out, pop up. The break over that level is what sent this thing up. So a retest of that 2950 level. That's what I'm looking for. That's it on the long side, guys. The oversold reversion setups, there's nothing out there I was really liking, nothing notable. And again, you'll never hear me try to, I'm not trying to manufacture trades. I just want to give you guys stuff that I think might set up and have, if I talk about it and it sets up like I want it, I'm actually trading these guys. I'm not just putting ideas out there that I'm not personally going to trade myself, all right? So we're looking at short stocks or short setups. This section is typically weak stocks looking for continuation. So I literally wrote down in my notes, dude, it says, I know people are going to tell me, Ricky, this stock is not weak. I said, yeah, I know, but just hear me out, okay? Like we just talked about earlier, bear markets eventually come for everybody. This stock's been performing really well as though it's some sort of like recession hedge. Like, oh yeah, like when the recession comes, people are going to shop at Dollar Tree and Ross and freaking Dollar General. Dude, Dollar Tree's margins are 5%. They operate on a 5% gross margin. Same as Target. Target's not immune. Target got smoked, right? Because these companies that operate on these thin margins, when inflation rears its ugly head, really can cut into their bottom line. So I don't think that this stock is immune to the bear market at all. And it has so much meat on the bone in terms of like where we're trading compared to where we've been. Like, look at this in terms of just 52-week highs. We're still way up there. And what have we been doing? This was when Target reported, right? The big sell-off when Target reported earnings. So you can already tell that people are on edge about this, right? But it got bought back up. But what happened? Lower high. Come back in, push up, lower high. We're just kind of surfing underneath the 50 and 20 day, which are both pointing down right now, right? They're sloping down. They're kind of rolling over. I could be dead wrong on this, and I'm fine with that. But if we lose 152, like last week's lows, like let's just call it 152. We lose 152, and I'm probably looking to join trend on this thing. I think this thing's got it's got an air pocket below it that when it starts to kind of unwind, I think people are just going to be like, yeah, like maybe the gig's up over here and start bailing from their positions. Again, I don't see this being as much of a recession hedge or whatever reason this has been staying up so well. Like we've seen them raise their prices too to try to like keep up with it. Like a lot of things at Dollar Tree are now $1.25, which is a 25% increase in prices. We'll see how how that translates to their next earnings report. But that's not till, let's see, August 25th, guys. So it's not like I have to worry about earnings looming or anything. I think this thing loses 152 and we could see the 200-day. All right. So that's the idea on Dollar Tree. I know it's not a weak stock, but yes, I do think it looks vulnerable. That's the idea. Last name on the list this week, guys, I believe. Is it the last name? It is. Tesla. This one, another one, I feel just looks really, really weak. I think this is just a big bear flag down here. They have earnings the end of this month, right? This earnings report is scheduled for the 25th. Now, I'm going off TradingView's earnings right here. Let me verify it on Earnings Whisper. I don't want to be wrong. All right, so July 20th, according to Earnings Whisper, okay? So July 20th, that's not very far away. But again, it's far enough away that I think there's some good trades in here. I mean, you could trade this thing every single day. It's got liquidity and range, right? We talk about that all the time. My idea is a spike up into what did I write down? 728. Where's that level come from? Where do I get 728? The last major short trigger. You guys see this? We're pushing up, come in, this lower high, and when we snap 728, it was just flush city. So any kind of major rally up into that level, and I'm looking to fade this thing. It was the same reason I was looking for this 663 as the long. Here's your last major long trigger that sent this thing rocketing. And look what happened when we came back and tested it. We've been holding, right? Like, obviously, that was a major level. So any kind of spike up into 728, I'm looking to fade. If we start to lose 650s, actually maybe even both, let's see, under 666, I hate to say that number, whatever. Under 666, and I may just look to join trend short pops, because I think this thing could easily come down to 650 and possibly 630. And obviously, if we lose those levels, then you might get a major leg lower. We'll see. But one day at a time. These are day trades. I'm trying to express the trades via. Like, I'm not swinging this short or anything like that. I just want to get a piece of this because, again, the range is huge. And I know a lot of people think, oh, it's a $600 stock. One, the options are liquid, right? You can express these trades via the options. And two, you can still trade the equity and just treat it like a $70 stock. Or if you're used to, even cheaper, you can treat it like a $6.97 stock, a $6.80 stock, right? And you just adjust size accordingly because trust me, this thing can move. Like, look at this. Last week was over 12% of a move in 1 week, in one day, right? Like, Tuesday was a 7% move, right? There are gains to be made, and you don't have to have gigantic size. I know a lot of people that trade smaller accounts think, oh, I can't trade that. Most brokers are giving you 4-to-1 leverage. Now, please understand, guys. Leverage can be very dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. But if you understand risk management, leverage can be used responsibly, right? Like, you could have $1,000 account, and if you get 4-to-1, you can take 4 shares of Tesla, right? And 4 shares of Tesla can move $20, and you could make $80 on a trade, and you could only be risking, you could be risking $20, $30. But if you get that leverage and you don't cut your loser, that's when the margin calls and the danger come into play, right? So please understand risk management and understand how to size positions accordingly to a trade plan before you go using any sort of leverage, right? And remember, this is my opinion. I'm not allowed to give you guys financial advice, but I know a lot of people that trade smaller accounts feel like they can't trade these more expensive stocks. And remember, yes, they have liquid options chains as well. So like, there's definitely ways to trade Tesla. All right, so that's it for the list this week, guys. I'm gonna see if there were some questions. Let me see. If I put this here, all right, let's see. I'm trying to scroll up and read. I'm not seeing any questions. $1.25 tree. How you play this? Do you buy options at all, or all shares only? Tesla so expensive. Okay, I just literally, that's all I talked about, right? KH, I just talked about that. Roblox, where would I reload long? That is exactly. No KH. My level on Roblox is 29.50. You gotta listen to the ideas, man. Rewatch the prep if you have to. I don't see any other questions. I'm going to let you guys get back to your families now, right? Like, this is a big holiday weekend. Shout out to all the military out there that keep us in a free country. My wife is a Marine, if you guys didn't know, so like, I'm a big supporter of anybody out there that's serving our country, whether that's military or teachers, police officers, firefighters, everybody that helps make this country what it is. Thanks. Enjoy your family this weekend. Hopefully you guys can enjoy some good barbecue, have a few beers, enjoy your loved ones and your friends, because remember, that's really what matters. All right, I will see you guys on Tuesday morning in the markets. Peace.